Tonight on News Watch, filling up in one central Illinois city is getting a little more expensive. We'll have details on plans to update a motor fuel tax.
Plus, Illinois officials extend a key deadline to enroll in health care coverage. We'll have what you need to know to sign up. Then,
a pleasant and sunny day today across East Central Illinois, and a pretty good shot on our tower cam as the sun's setting over Charleston at this evening. We have one more pleasant day of weather ahead of us before winter's worst is right back on our doorstep. This is News Watch. Your Wednesday evening edition starts now.
Charleston House proudly supports Newswatch. Now welcoming guests on Charleston's historic 6th Street. The Charleston House Bed and Breakfast Inn offers refined accommodations in a beautifully restored bed and breakfast. For booking information, visit craigcollection.com or call the number on screen.
TCI Realty, Charleston area's real estate connection, commercial, land and farm, and residential real estate. Experienced realtors with an up-to-date website at tcirealty.net. TCI Realty supports the students of WEIU Newswatch.
Alamo Steakhouse and Saloon. Whatever the occasion, it's an environment for an evening of dining, conversation, and cocktails. Whatever your needs, our staff is ready. Alamo Steakhouse and Saloon, located at the Cross County Mall, Mattoon.
Depending on your fuel, filling up could cost you a little more in one local city. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Williamson.
And I'm Olivia Bennett. Now, last night, the Decatur City Council voted to raise motor fuel tax on diesel from 1 cent to 5 cents. Now, that brings the diesel tax in line with the rate on non-diesel fuels. City leaders say the increase will add an additional $700,000 to the $1.8 million the city now makes per year. Plus, the council approved a resolution to redevelop the Barnes Citizens building on North Water Street into a boutique hotel, apartment, restaurant, and coffee bar. The start date for the project is unknown. Illinois officials are once again asking Congress for year-round sales of E15 fuel, a move they believe will benefit farmers in the state. Under current law, E15 fuel, which includes 15% ethanol, often is made from corn. It is only available during the summer with temporary emergency waivers. Governor J.B. Pritzker says E15 sales year-round would help energy supplies, boost the economy, and support a cleaner environment. The USDA says Illinois is the second largest producer of corn in the nation, with corn crop estimates reaching above 17 billion bushels.
Illinois residents looking for health insurance coverage now have more time to enroll. Capital News Illinois reports Get Covered Illinois announced a 16-day extension to the open enrollment deadline. Director Morgan Winters says the extension will allow more time for customers to compare prices and different benefits. For coverage beginning February 1st, consumers need to enroll by the end of this month. Illinois health officials confirm a case of Legionnaire's disease at a state-run center for people with developmental disabilities. Capital News Illinois reports the Illinois Department of Public Health and the Illinois Department of Human Services confirmed a resident at the Shapiro Developmental Center in Kankakee recently tested positive for the disease. The diagnosis is sparking efforts to find the source of the illness and stop potential exposures. Legionnaire's disease is a serious type of pneumonia caused by bacteria. Now, the last major outbreak in Illinois occurred back in 2015 when the illness killed 13 residents at the Illinois Veterans Home in Quincy over 3 years.
Good evening. A very nice day today across East Central Illinois and a beautiful clear sky on our WeatherBug cam captured earlier today. High temperatures up into the mid-40s for a lot of us across the area. 45 degrees for our high in Charleston. We were up to 48 degrees in Effingham and even getting into the 50s to the far southeast of our area. We finished up at 50 degrees for our high in Robinson. Right now we're seeing these temperatures already getting down near the freezing point for a lot of us. 37 degrees in Charleston, 34 degrees in Champaign. The one thing in common with everyone, though, clear skies continuing across the area. Now that will be starting to change as we move overnight tonight. A few clouds will be moving in and out of the skies over Charleston tonight. 17 degrees for our overnight low. We'll see winds continuing from the west up to 25 miles an hour at their strongest. We'll be seeing a nice day ahead tomorrow, but cooler temperatures are on the way, and I'll have the full Skywatch forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Ben. We're learning more about a Vigo County attack with an axe that happened nearly 4 months ago. According to our partner station WTHI, 18-year-old Christopher Kelly is charged with attempted murder, aggravated battery, and domestic battery with a deadly weapon. The station says Terre Haute police responded to a call about a stabbing on Chestnut Street September 24th. Authorities say the victim was in a relationship with Kelly's mother. They say Kelly hit the victim with an axe, and when the victim wrestled the axe away, Kelly started stabbing him with a knife. Court records show Kelly was previously in a juvenile detention center, but was ordered moved to the Vigo County Jail yesterday. Mattoon authorities have determined the cause of a fire overnight. The Mattoon Fire Department says they responded to a garage fire around 3 this morning on Champaign Avenue. Firefighters say the cause was determined to be a wood-burning stove accident. They say no one was in the building during the fire and no one was hurt, and fortunately no one was displaced. The National Fire Protection Association says if you use a wood-burning stove, make sure your stove is installed by a professional and periodically cleaned, and burn only dry, seasoned wood. If you recently received a letter about your water pipes from the city of Charleston, don't fret. It does not mean that there's lead in your water. The notice is part of the city's ongoing lead service line identification and replacement program. Charleston officials are conducting a survey asking residents to identify the material used in their water service line. The city says you can do that by looking at the connection at your water meter, identifying the service line inside of your home, or calling a plumber. Officials say lead lines are often a soft metal, easy to scratch, gray in color, non-magnetic, and connections are often bulb-shaped. Once you've identified the material, you can do the survey on the city's website.
A perfect storm of factors has created a severe blood shortage across the nation. The American Red Cross says blood supplies are down 35% over the last month, forcing some hospitals to conserve resources. They say the shortage is the result of several factors, including a nationwide flu outbreak, sidelining donors, winter weather disrupting blood drives, and the long holiday break. The organization fears forecasted severe winter weather will cause further disruptions and worsen the shortage. There are several local blood drives scheduled in the coming weeks. The next is at the United Church of Atwood tomorrow afternoon from 1 to 6. You can find a complete list online at redcrossblood.org. Know a senior that's making a difference? Well, the Illinois Department on Aging has a way you can show your appreciation. The department says nominations are open for the 2026 induction class of the Senior Illinoisans Hall of Fame. They say nominees must be 65 or older and be a current Illinois resident or a previous resident for most of their life. Now each year, adults are inducted into the Hall of Fame for their work in the arts, sports, education, community service, and more. They say those who have already passed away can still be nominated. Nominations close June 2nd. Well, could we be in store for a Hall of Fame forecast?
Ben Whitney joins us with some look at bitter temperatures and more. Good evening, Ben.
Good evening, Olivia. You're exactly right about those bitter temperatures. Very cold moving in over the next 48 hours. You can see that here. This is right now Wednesday at 5 p.m. As we move this forward, this is midday on Friday. Much cooler temperatures are on the way, but just how cold could we get? I'll have the answer coming up right after this.
A newly published study starring a very clever and very itchy cow can only be described as utterly fascinating. Look, people, if you don't like cow puns, you might just want to move along. The study was inspired by Veronica, a cow in Austria whose owner observed it for years picking up sticks and using them to scratch hard-to-reach places on its beefy body. Researchers with the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna saw video of Veronica's scratchy solution and decided to milk it in a series of experiments using a broom, which the team says Veronica not only picked up and used, but varied her use between the smooth handle and the rough bristles based on where on her body she was scratching. The findings, published in the journal Current Biology, suggest not only was the crafty cow displaying true tool use, behavior only previously observed in humans and chimpanzees, but her displayed preferences and adaptability with the tool is evidence of highly intelligent decision-making, which raises the stakes of this bovine belly-scratching study even higher. In Canada, a classroom was the scene not of a study on animals, but instead an animal interrupting studies when an escaped parakeet flew into a kindergarten class and even landed on a teacher. That's according to a Facebook post by the St. Noel Chabanel Catholic School in Ontario, which shared images of the colorful parakeet perched in various places in the classroom before being corralled and taken to the front office. Named Snow, the bird was eventually returned to its rightful owner, but the school later said, "From classroom visits to office hangouts, we sure had fun spending time with Snow during her visit." For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Good evening to all our viewers watching us today. A very nice Wednesday across East Central Illinois. 45 degrees for our high in Charleston. Many of us were up into the mid-40s across the area. Our warmest spot just down to the southeast in Robinson, the only one of our communities in our viewing area reaching the 50-degree mark today. Now we are starting to see those temperatures cooling off across the area. Already nearly freezing in Paris right now, 33 degrees to the east, 37 degrees right now in Charleston. Clear skies for all of us across the viewing area. That will start to change overnight though, but it was a nice warm up from the day yesterday compared to today. A 10-degree warm up between this time yesterday and today in Charleston. These numbers were closer to 15 degrees earlier today, so it was a pretty nice warm up from what we saw on Tuesday. Now overnight though, we will see those colder temperatures back in overnight, down into the teens in Charleston, 17 for our overnight low. We'll see a few clouds moving in and out across the viewing area this evening. We will see moderate winds continuing coming from the west, more consistently around 5 to 10 miles an hour, but they could be up to 25 miles an hour at their strongest points across the area this evening. We'll see those winds continuing in from the west as we move into our Thursday. Temperatures will be a little cooler than they were today, but still holding on to above freezing conditions, 34 degrees to be more specific in Charleston. We'll start out the morning with partly cloudy skies across the viewing area. We'll see a little bit heavier cloud cover as we get towards the noon and afternoon hours. After sunset, though, we'll see mostly cloudy skies moving in. Now we'll see clear skies as we get into Friday, but that'll be leading into a big time cool down that we'll see. I'll have more on that in just a moment. Futurecast right now, though, you can see these clear skies across the viewing area. You can already see those clouds starting to make their way in across the region overnight tonight. As we start the morning tomorrow, you'll see heavier cloud cover here. This is just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. You can see pretty cloudy skies across a lot of the region, and that'll be continuing throughout the rest of the night. Again, clear as we look ahead to Friday, but a big time cool down is in store as we end our work week. Temperatures up into the low to mid 30s for tomorrow, down as low as the single digits for Friday. And even for the weekend, they're not going to be coming up a whole lot, really sitting in just the lower to mid teens across the area. That'll even be the case as we start next work week as well. Now, what we're seeing this cool down with is our upper level jet stream. We're going to be seeing a trough of cold Arctic air developing and coming down to the south over the next few days. You can see right here on Friday, this cold air isn't quite reaching all the way down to us, but it's still close enough for us to see wind chill values in the negatives for Friday and Saturday. Now we do have a second potential for colder air moving through. Now this is also going to bring through a chance for some snow showers across the region. Could be potentially significant snowfall. Now these wind chill values are going to be of concern, especially on Friday morning. As I roll this forward for you here, you can see midday on Friday, negative 10-degree wind chills in Charleston, negative 15 degrees closer to Champaign and Danville. So again, a nice day tomorrow, but make sure to bundle up as you get out the door for Friday because these temperatures are going to be very cold across East Central Illinois. There is some good to come out of this forecast though. We're getting 2 minutes of daylight every day here in East Central Illinois. A 7:07 sunrise for tomorrow in the morning and a sunset just after 5 o'clock. Today was our first 5 o'clock sunset for the year of 2026. We'll continue to see these daylight totals increasing as we near the summer solstice in June. Looking at our 7 days ahead, you can see 5 degrees for our high on Friday, 14 degrees as we enter Saturday. Saturday night into Sunday is when we'll start to see the snow chances come in. Now again, it could be some significant snowfall, so we'll be continuing to monitor that and update you every night here on Newswatch. A little bit warmer for the start of next week, but man, these temperatures this weekend are going to be very cold.
I'm never going outside ever again. Never.
Yeah, I agree with that, Olivia. Yeah, thanks, Ben. And still to come, President Trump heads to Europe to push his case of acquiring Greenland.
But that trip came with an early delay. We'll show you what led to Air Force One turning its back on the beginning of the trip overseas. Thanks for watching. This is Newswatch on WEIU.
It's a type of B vitamin that can be found in the medicine cabinets of those wanting to promote healthy hair growth. And for cancer patients undergoing chemotherapy, biotin is a go-to supplement for many. In a published paper, Dr. Brittany Dalmage with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center says that while biotin itself is not dangerous and can be found naturally in certain foods, taking additional biotin through a supplement can affect a patient's blood work and mask changes in some cancers like those in prostate, thyroid, ovaries, endometrium, and breast. Dalmage says a safer alternative is FDA-approved minoxidil, which is applied topically and can speed up hair loss recovery time by up to 2 months. For healthier nails, she says to apply solutions that can harden and moisturize them, which can help increase nail turnover and make them less fragile. For patients who choose to stay on biotin supplements, she says to stop taking them 72 hours before blood work. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
President Trump continues his push for U.S. control of Greenland during a meeting of the World Economic Forum in Switzerland today. The president says he won't use force to annex the island. Ivan Rodriguez reports.
In his clearest statement yet, President Donald Trump ruled out using the military to acquire control of Greenland.
I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force.
In a wide-ranging speech that lasted more than an hour, Trump took aim at Switzerland, the host country for the World Economic Forum. He warned Canada to be grateful to the U.S. and questioned NATO's commitment to defend the U.S.
The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return.
Trump also slammed Denmark as ungrateful for refusing to relinquish control of Greenland, contending that the nation owed the U.S. for defending it during World War II. Repeatedly, the president also named Iceland when it appeared he meant to refer to Greenland.
After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time?
California Governor Gavin Newsom was in the audience and called the president's speech, quote, remarkably insignificant.
He was never going to invade Greenland. It was never real. So that was always a fade. And so he says, well, we should negotiate. Well, everybody here has been willing to negotiate for a year. So it had fire and fury signifying absolutely nothing.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Late today, President Trump announced he had formed the, quote, framework of a deal on Greenland after his meeting with the chief of NATO. The president didn't immediately release details, but he did say the U.S. would no longer impose tariffs on European countries over their opposition to his plans for the country.
Well, the president's trip to Switzerland got off to a delayed start. Air Force One returned to the U.S. soon after it left for the overseas flight. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the crew identified a minor electrical issue. The plane returned to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland out of an abundance of caution, and the president took a backup plane. Well, no delays in sports. We head on over to Pierce Lehman for a check of tonight's sports headlines.
Thanks, Matt. Tonight in sports, 2 Eastern Illinois athletic teams find out who they're playing next season. Also, the Chicago Bulls look to clip the Clippers, and we'll have the highlights next. Thanks for watching. Your WEIU Sports Watch Report is coming up.
For the people you know and the stories you didn't, join us for This Is Our Story. Every week, we'll be revisiting the stories told in WEIU's This Is Our Story series. We'll hear about the past and the present, the big and the small, the people and the places that make the communities in our area the wonderful places they are. That's This Is Our Story, Thursday at 7 on WEIU.
The Eastern Illinois football team is getting a look at their opponents for the upcoming season. The Panthers will start the season traveling to Kentucky to take on Murray State. Then, in the second week of the season, EIU will face their only FBS opponent this year, heading to Minnesota to battle the Golden Gophers. The Panthers will have their home opener the following week against Indiana State and are set to begin conference play in October against Gardner-Webb. And finally, the Panthers season ends at home against Charleston Southern. Another Panther squad now knows who they'll be playing this season. The Eastern Illinois Beach Volleyball team will begin their second season under Olympic gold medalist head coach Ryan Millar in Ozark, Missouri for the Missouri State Tournament starting February 20th. After the opening weekend, Eastern will begin conference play March 7th against Lindenwood. AIU will then host their only match of the year on April 3rd against Lindenwood, and the OVC Championship is set to begin on April 23rd. With high school boys basketball season winding down, let's take a look at how local teams are doing. Starting in 3A, Cerro Gordo pulls out a close victory over Okaw Valley 50-48. In 2A, Dietrich beats Effingham 54-45, while Effingham St. Anthony dominates Shelbyville 59-38. Finally, in 1A, Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond wins over Blue Ridge 58-26. At the college level, the number 11 ranked Fighting Illini are back in action tonight, taking on a struggling Maryland squad. Illinois is riding a 7-game winning streak with its last loss over a month ago, which came on December 13th against the number 23 ranked Nebraska. Tonight's game will tip off at the State Farm Center at 6, and Illini head coach Brad Underwood knows what to expect.
This team plays very hard and has a guy, like I said, that's capable of getting 40. So, we've got to do our job, not try to keep them off the line. I think 25% of the points come with the free throw line, and then we've got to keep them off the offensive glass.
An injury note for the Fighting Illini, Kylan Boswell has been sidelined for a month with a broken hand. Coach Underwood says he's expecting a mid-February return for Boswell. Once again, Illinois will tip off from the State Farm Center at 6 against Maryland. Now to the pros, where the Chicago Bulls face the Los Angeles Clippers in hopes of keeping their win streak alive. Starting in the first quarter, Matas Buzlias gets the fans on their feet early, stepping back and sinking the three-pointer. Now it's the Clippers. Jordan Miller should really consider playing volleyball. He tips it back to James Arden, who greens the three. Chi-Town has a 19-point lead. Never fear, Ayo Desumu is here, sinking in a three-pointer with ease. But if you thought that was impressive, watch this. Kobe White sinks three-pointer after three-pointer, notching a game-high 27 points, going 6 for 10 from beyond the arch. That lead would stick, and the Bulls extend their win streak to 2 with a 138-110 win. Up next, Chicago will be back on the court tomorrow in Minnesota against the Timberwolves. The Bulls could be getting some help back as soon as well. Guard Josh Giddey is set to return this week after being sidelined since December 31st. Finally tonight, the Chicago White Sox trade star outfielder Luis Robert Jr. to the Mets. The center fielder was brought up to the team in 2020. In return, Chicago received infielder Luis Angel Acuna and right-hander Truman Pauly. That's all for sports. Matt, Olivia, back to you.
All right, thanks, Pierce. And still to come tonight, Ben Whitney gives us a final look at some bitter temperatures.
But first, could a payphone help heal political divides? We'll find out in tonight's Parting Story. Thanks for watching. This is News Watch on WEIU. Finally tonight, an experiment in 2 cities is building new connections using old school technology. A group called Matter Neuroscience installed 2 payphones, one in Abilene, Texas, which they say is the most conservative city in America, and one in San Francisco, which they say is the most liberal. The phone in Abilene comes with a sign reading "Call a Democrat," and the one in San Francisco reads "Call a Republican." The phones only call each other, and the calls are free. Organizers say the goal is to spark friendly conversations conversation between people who might not connect otherwise. People who've made the calls say they don't necessarily talk politics, but they do learn to appreciate one another's everyday lives. Now, hopefully Ben Whitney can help us appreciate winter weather in this last check of the Skywatch forecast.
Winter weather will be back in full force this weekend across the area, Olivia. 17 degrees for our overnight low this evening. We will see some clouds moving in and out of the skies above this evening. And as we get into tomorrow, we'll see clouds slowly starting to build towards the midday period. 34 degrees for our high in Charleston. Some could be a little bit warmer than that. Winds will continue in from the west at around 10 to 15 miles an hour at their strongest. Now looking forward for the next week ahead, we'll see very cold temperatures on Friday, 5 degrees and wind chills in the negative teens across the area. We do have a chance for snow Saturday night into Sunday. We'll continue to monitor that situation and update you here every night on News Watch.
All right, great. Thank you for that one, Ben. And thank you for joining us. For more news and weather, be sure to log on to our website at WEIU.net.
There you'll find real-time forecasts and the news video of the day. And if news is happening in your community, let us know by dropping us an email at news@weiu.net. Have a good night.
Newswatch. Now welcoming guests on Charleston's historic 6th Street. The Charleston House Bed and Breakfast Inn offers refined accommodations in a beautifully restored bed and breakfast. For booking information, visit craigcollection.com or call the number on screen.
TCI Realty, Charleston area's real estate connection. Commercial, land and farm, and residential real estate. Experienced realtors with an up-to-date website at tcirealty.net. TCI Realty supports the students of WEIU Newswatch.
Alamo Steakhouse and Saloon. Whatever the occasion, it's an environment for an evening of dining, conversation, and cocktails. Whatever your needs, our staff is ready. Alamo Steakhouse and Saloon, located at the Cross County Mall, Mattoon.